what's going on, everybody? We got a lot of people in the chat already, which is totally awesome. There's a lot of you. I can't thank you all enough. We're going to get to that. I see you all. I'm going to acknowledge all of you in a second. So I've been around. I've done some things. I've seen some stuff. But last year, I was witness to something that I had never seen happen before. And I had seen these people at JoeFest before. I'd seen them around here and there, showing products, things like that. But last year, I got to experience ValaCon for the first time in all of its might and glory. And as Ed Schumacher said 2 weeks ago on the first episode of Road to JoeFest, this gentleman and all of his awesome friends and all of the amazing product that they brought, as Ed said, they tipped the building. So, yeah, I'm super pumped. I'm totally excited, and I'm truly humbled. And I had to dust this off for my awesome guest tonight, and that is none other than Mr. Bobby VALA.
What's going on, man?
How you doing, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm pretty stellar. Doing pretty good.
Thanks for having me on.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Thank you for agreeing to come. And right off the bat, good sir, I got this. This is for you. And this is from Chris at Cutthroat Comics, sends a $5 super chat. Thank you, Chris. And he says, I want to ask Bobby if he's going to continue the Action Force comics still or move on so he can devote more time to the figure line.
Well, yes, I do need to devote the majority of my time to the action figure line. But the comics are such an important part of it because it tells the story. And, you know, I've always said from the beginning that this wasn't just going to be just a customizable figure line or just, relegated to just the figures. I wanted it to be an IP that built off of, good story, good characters. And the comics did very well. It's just that the comics are such a huge undertaking and they're very expensive. And the comics industry is in a weird space right now because it's kind of like, depends who you ask. Some people might say it's dying. Some people say it's on the way out, but it's not where it was. But then again, you see some creators coming out with comics that are either crowdfunded or indie stuff that are selling tons of issues.
Yeah.
So I think if you have a really good story, they sell well. But going back to that, my priority is to get a publisher for the comics. This way they can take it off my plate and be able to, put their resources into the comics, and then I could focus on the figures. So we're still working on that.
Well, thank you for answering that. And there you go, Chris. Sure. There's your answer. Very cool. All right. So we got fighting code names here, Chris from Cutthroat. Jim Largo's here from Largo's Lair. Jeff Morris, Brandon R., Ginny Bartlett, Samuel Edwards, Brian King, Will, Scuba Pete, The Ma'am, George Aiken, Drew G. Look, all the usual suspects are here.
Those are some recognizable names.
Yeah. K Daly. Are we saying K Daly? K Daly? K Daly? We're going to say Daly. Okay. Yeah. Cool. All right. Awesome. Very cool. Necro, Nolan, Big Bacon, everybody. Cool. If I missed anybody, let me know. Thank you very much. So, good sir, you're a super busy guy these days.
A bit. Yeah, a bit.
Yeah.
Probably busier than I know how to handle, but
it's a good problem to have, though, don't you think?
It's a very good problem to have. But it's, you spend the days, trying to figure out, where your priorities are and what fires you got to put out, and there are times where, like, I say to myself, all right, this week I'm going to take one day and I'm just going to sit in the office and I'm going to play with my figures. I'm going to customize, switch gear around, that sort of thing. Every week comes and goes and I never get that day. And it's like, I'm a collector also. So it's like, I buy stuff, I bring it to the office and it just sits in a pile and I never get to do anything with it because I just don't have the time to, do anything. Yeah. There you go. So,
it's like I'm still trying to unpack this room, and every day totally not the same first world problems as you, but partially. And I come in here and I'm like, I'm going to unpack some figures. And then I sit down, I start doing something, then I'm doing something else. The next thing I know, I'm like, I got to go get my kid. And then
Yep.
it just never happens. So I wanted to, let me catch up to the chat because, oh, hang on one sec. There you go. This is for you. Scuba Pete sends a $5 super chat. Thank you very much, Pete, and says, two of my favorite people on one stream. I won't miss Friday Night Lights of ValaCon 2023 this year, all weekend this time.
I'm looking forward to drinking some bourbon with Pete at ValaCon.
I got to say, last year or so, I didn't try to do anything where, oh, hey, Ed, let me come in early or anything like that. I stood in line like everybody else. And 4 o'clock, as soon as the doors open on Friday, and the ma'am and I, we were only like 5 people deep. And I don't know what happened. It was like someone teleported a whole bunch of people in because like I said, we weren't that far back in the line. And as soon as we stroll in the doors and there's a line at your booth, like there's this massive line, and the line at the Valaverse booth never ended. It never ended.
Yeah, it went the whole show on Friday, which was wild. And then,
it was nuts.
When Saturday opened up, that line came back. But I didn't expect that. It's like, yeah, I knew some people wanted, some Series 1 stuff and the exclusives that we had, but
yeah,
I didn't expect what happened. But it was cool to see. All of a sudden, it's like we're all standing at the booth, like kind of ready, but we didn't expect like a rush. And then all of a sudden, like I look up and the team is like taking orders like left and right. And I got a chair and I stood on a chair to look at the sea of people. I was like, how far does this line go? And I just saw it go to the door and it went into the door and then into the lobby. And I was like, well, that's interesting.
Yeah. And from the lobby perspective, it was a little weird because, just coming and going in and out. And then people are standing in your line, but they think they're in the line to get in the door. And people are like, no, this is a line for the Valaverse table. And they're like, what? And then they're like, oh, I'm going to get in that line.
That's crazy. Cause it's like, nuts. I thought like people couldn't get into the show because the line was blocking everything. So I didn't know how it was being handled. Like once it got to the door. But it's still cool.
It was insane. It was so cool.
I think we're gonna do it again this year.
I think you will. Yeah, absolutely. Especially after you had your VALA fair and showed a few things that I kind of went and grabbed. I don't want to say I stole them because you're on my show.
Sure.
But yeah, I watched every day of VALA fair and you guys were just hitting it. You were hitting it hard. It was crazy. And then Ryan's here. Ryan's asking if you're playing with a fidget spinner.
I'm not. I'm playing with a clip that's on my headphone wire. Mind your business, Ryan.
Mind your own business, Ryan. I'm just checking this chat. I probably should have grabbed a moderator. Anywho, I can't thank everybody enough for being here with us, and I will keep up with the chat as I can. If you have questions for Bobby, put it in there, like address it to Bobby, and I will pull it out, please. So let's take a look at a couple of things here, shall we, sir?
Sure.
There's something specific that I gotta get to. Anyway, so we're gonna talk about JoeFest, aka ValaCon, and full disclosure, I was gonna G this up like it was tagged by a spray painter and change it to ValaCon, and I kind of
nice. When you had Ed on the show, I didn't get a chance to listen to it yet, but did you happen to call it ValaCon at all?
Yeah. He did too.
Did he really?
Yeah, he did.
I was wondering if Ed had like heard about it, that because it started out as a joke.
Right.
It was Tony's fault. Tony kind of started it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when we stop and think about it, it should have been called ValaFest, but he came up with ValaCon, and we just started calling it that at the booth, and then we started calling it that on our show, and then it just caught on, and now everyone's been calling it that, and I'm like, oh man, I wonder if Ed caught on and that we're changing the name of his show.
Yeah, so like I walked up to your booth, and I knew I was gonna buy stuff from your booth, but I had brought Tony a timber because he needed a timber and I had a spare one. And I was like, yeah, I'll bring you a timber, so I wrapped him up all nice and pretty and all that stuff. Well, I walked in and that's when you already had that massive line. And I told the ma'am, I was like, I want to take this timber to Tony right away and just kind of like, that way he's got it. He doesn't try to go buy one and then we could just go about our business. So we're not carrying this around. And just frickin' stood there and 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 stood there in line like a good little boy. I didn't try to skip the line. And then I walked up and he turns around. He's like, can I get you something? I was like, yeah, here, I owe you this timber. And I meant to say hi to you, but you were busy as shit. And I didn't want to like, just saying hi to somebody. I didn't want to bust that up.
Yeah.
Here's a question for you from Ryan. Will Desert Rat version 2 come in a 2-pack with a slightly husky figure with an Amish beard?
Oh man. That's a good one. I don't know. Maybe ValaCon 2024. We'll see.
So Fat Thor? What are we we talking about Fat Thor? No. All right, anyway, so here's your right. Me. Yeah, I did. No, you're not Fat Thor, Ryan. You're much prettier. So there's your write-up from JoeFest website, which we kind of already talked about. And then here's the floor plan. Do you know off the top of your head where you're at?
So I do. So yeah. See kind of right at the bottom, those 4 squares that are all together right there, that giant spot. I have all 4 of those spots. So that is the giant Valaverse booth that's taking up that whole front middle area.
And Sarge is right by you too, yeah.
Yeah, I think he was originally with us, but then I was talking to Ed and he shuffled some things around, and Sarge has his own booth now, and I think he's in spot 17. So that quad right there is all Valaverse. So we have the biggest booth. Awesome. It was obnoxiously big last year, and we're going to make it even more obnoxiously big this year. And there might be some strobe lights. There might be some, Action Force projectors going on the ceiling. We're going to get crazy. We're going to get really crazy. Awesome.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing it. So, does this look familiar?
A little bit. A little bit.
Yeah, I mean, do you want to explain this?
Well, it's like, listen, everyone knows that I have no love for the team that's working on Classified, specifically one person. But I think it's hilarious because the two of us hate each other. We're absolutely mortal enemies. And I think it's funny that a lot of the Classified line has copied things that I've done in the Action Force line. But when I saw this, I had to laugh. I was like, wait a second. So you didn't even bother trying to come up with something new. You just took the old design and just copied it. So, I mean, I guess if you're a shit designer, sorry, can I curse on this show?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. If you're a bad designer, then yeah, you don't come up with your own stuff and you just, kind of rehash what was put out previously, which, they were going for that nostalgia play, which was working very well for them. They course corrected. They were doing some great figures like Storm Shadow and Spirit. And then it's like they did this, and it's like they could have followed the vintage one, which I guess the Pursuit of Cobra one did follow the vintage one, not to a T, but
yeah.
But then I saw, I'm like, wow, you didn't even make an effort. But I laughed because I was like, and the thing is, I did this post because I wanted it to get around and I wanted him to know. I wanted him to know that was my design. And
I shared it.
I'm sure it burned him up something awful to find out that the figure that he's working on, he copied basically a design I did for that Pursuit of Cobra figure. So it's really funny.
So this post of yours spoke to me on probably 86 different levels. Okay. First of all, Lowlight is my all-time dude. Number one, Joe. Second of all, specifically your low light is my favorite figure. Not,
I mean,
you know,
I didn't do the figure. Another
right.
My boss at the time, because I was an intern when I was working on this, he worked
But
on the
the
figure.
others,
I got to do all the accessories, which was
yeah.
cool.
And just there's times that I really appreciate, giving it to somebody when they got it coming. And a lot of people hanging out in the chat understand that I will get in my car and I will rant for 20 minutes about crazy shit. And this post, it just spoke to me on so many levels, and I shared it everywhere that I could, and I thought it was hilarious. So I just kind of wanted to talk about it because it was completely worth it.
I mean, I got a great laugh out of it. When I saw it, I was like, oh, damn.
Oh,
That's a
I loved
burn.
it. Yeah.
And it's like at the time, so like the way I designed that was I studied the way, snipers carry their gear and stuff like that. And the way that
Mhm.
figure works, you have it. The backpack fits onto the rifle bag, which then fits onto the figure's back. So it has like a dual, stackability to it.
Mhm.
But nowadays, like snipers kind of do it a little differently. The more modern, bags. Like you got to figure that I did that when it was 2010. So, it's 13 years ago where,
Yeah.
so there's totally different gear nowadays. So now they
Mhm.
copied off of something that nowadays snipers use different gear. So you're now putting out a semi-vintage looking figure with gear from
Right.
2010 that was taken from the Pursuit of Cobra line. So it's weird. And it's like, it was just lazy. It was lazy designing on their part. I mean, I love it. I think it's hilarious.
Yeah.
So thank you
Well,
for being lazy, but it's
no,
still a thing.
it was fantastic.
It was
I
great.
just, I don't, low light was going to be my litmus test. I'm one of those weird people that really likes Serpentor.
I
I
love
grew up in
I
that.
love
Yeah,
Serpentor.
I grew up in that time frame where Serpentor was that larger than life. This I command, and everything was bravado. And I saw Serpentor, and I was like, he looks good, but nope, not going to do it. And then I always said, Lowlight's going to be my massive litmus test. And then I saw him, and I'm like, yeah, they took a lot from Pursuit of Cobra, but then I just look at the actual figure itself and how it's just that kind of buck, and he doesn't look, I don't know, as grandiose as I thought Lowlight would. So whatever. That's just
they could have done some things with him, but what are you gonna do?
that I'm gonna not get it, but that's it. And then Drew G is asking, are the 4 squares in front of your hangout area for all of us that are coming so we don't block your table?
So I don't know. I have to talk to Ed about that because I remember him saying like they were gonna move me so that the line wouldn't block a lot of the door, but now they put me closer to the door. So
They moved the door.
oh, they did?
So the front door isn't those doors anymore. It's actually that side.
Oh, okay.
They moved the
Okay.
front door down to that end where there was just like the chairs last time.
Gotcha. All right, that makes sense. I mean, still that line's still gonna come up that whole alley and
Yeah, well,
block all of those booths that are along that alley there.
every time I was walking around trying to film Joe Fest, and for anybody who doesn't know, trying to film Joe Fest is not easy because you don't want to get footage of people's kids and you don't want other randos' faces and things like that. So every time I was trying to get footage and I would just happen to go down that main aisle again, it'd just be that massive, like I have so much footage of your massive line of people just over and over and over. But
Yeah, I have a video when I jumped up on that chair. I took some shots of it.
yeah, it was fantastic. And then Ryan says, Valaverse booth 2023 will be 90% more phallic.
90. I'm gonna say 100%.
Yeah. Why only 90? You got to pump those numbers up, man. Jay Bartlett, amazing live stream so far. Guys, slam the like button. Yeah, that would be appreciated. Thanks for being here, brother. And then just checking the chat. Chad's car rants therapeutic. Yeah. Cool. Samuel said Bobby should get a royalty check from this figure. There was another question to you. George Aiken, our good friend from the UK. Did Bobby design a lot of the Pursuit of Cobra?
I wouldn't say a lot. Trying to remember which figures I worked on. I worked on this one. I worked on the Duke with the rockets on his back. I worked on who was the figure with the wing jetpack and the kind of like the flight suit mask on. Shoot, what was his name? Well, I did him. I did the ultimate Snake Eyes skydive. That's right, skydive. The ultimate Snake Eyes. Shoot, there was a couple more in there. And then the one thing that like I worked on during that time that never saw the light of day was I had done the whole Renegades line. So that was when they just like were doing Renegades and they got all the character sheets and stuff like that. So I started working on inputs for all the Renegades figures. Now, we had a couple sculpted up and a few got made. Like they did an Amazon set where they did like Cobra Commander and Storm Shadow, and I think they did a Snake Eyes and then just Snake Eyes or Snake Eyes and Duke or something. And those were animated styling based on the figures I did. But then they released in the Pursuit of Cobra, or at that point it was 30th anniversary or something. They released the Renegades figures, but in modern designs. And I remember when I was there, I was working on Duke, and my boss at the time, he came up to me, he said, "Hey, I want you to do this exercise. I want you to take the Renegades costume and put it on a realistic like body and realistic proportions." And I thought that was odd that he asked for that. And I think that's because they were a little nervous about the animation and how it would look so different from what they were putting out. So it's kind of a bummer that those Renegades figures never came out.
Yeah. Is that where you got that weird that Law and Order that kind of looks realistic, but he's in that sort of Renegades colors?
I didn't work on that one, so I'm not sure what happened there.
Yeah, interesting. And then David is asking, what modern Joe figure was your favorite one to work
on? Modern? Well, I mean, do you consider Pursuit of Cobra modern anymore? I guess it was,
yeah,
almost 15 years ago. So I guess
I think it's just kind of that umbrella of modern
yeah,
construction.
Yeah. I mean, Low Light was a really cool one to work on. I had done they had these mech suits that came out, and they did one mech suit in the Pursuit of Cobra line, and the next series of mech suits would have had two, and one was Alpine and one was Desert Scorpion. And I had done a build for Desert Scorpion and a build for Alpine, which was on a Arctic Duke body that actually never got released either during Rise of Cobra. And the mech suits ended up looking cool. Desert Scorpion had the Minotaur, and Alpine I think had the Arctic Wolf. So those never came out. I actually got production samples of them because they got all the way to like production, and then they just canceled them. So those were cool. I mean, the Collectors Club ended up putting out the Desert Scorpion very similar to my build, but like a figure that came out, I don't know, I'd have to really like look at that and figure that out. I mean, if you want to say modern, I mean, what would have been my classified line, we didn't call it classified when I was doing the 6-inch Joe line.
Right.
We got all the way to tooling before they axed it. But, that would have been my favorite line to work on. But in the end, you got Action Force. So it's, it's pretty close to what I did.
That's awesome. Very cool. I appreciate that. And then, more Bobby should get royalty checks. More of that.
I should troll them, and I should send a letter to their legal team and be like, you can mail my royalty check here, just to troll them and see if I get a response.
That'd be great. And then Jeff saying I have them on my shelf somewhere. I think you're talking about the mechs, and yes, I do. Jim Largo's asking Bobby, what are the variants on the SDS Bone Collector reissue?
He's got, Jim, that means you didn't listen to my Valaverse stream because I said it.
Busted.
He's got darker pants, so it was a lighter gray in Series 1, and they're much darker gray pants in Series 2. And then he has the Garrison insignias on both of his shoulders. So those are the two differences on him. And I also changed his name on his file card.
From to.
You'll have to read the card.
Okay. There you go, Jim. Write it down. And then Necro asks, will the site have a restock of Steel Brigades? Fingers crossed.
We'll see. I mean, that was a reissue already. So it's like we did a reissue and then sold out. So now it's like we would be on our third run of that one. But I have so many other figures like in the queue coming out. So maybe in 2024, maybe we'll re-release that one, like a greatest hits kind of thing. But no plans as of right now to redo that one. The only figure we're reissuing besides Bone Collector, Condor, and Carrick is we're reissuing Eclipse. Another run of her will be out in May.
Awesome. Yeah, I grabbed a couple of those Steel Brigades, right? Because like you, I know you're a massive Steel Brigade guy.
Mm-hmm.
I am as well, but it's all moderns and nowhere near those numbers. You know, I probably have like 40. And so when yours came out, I got a couple, and then you reissued them, and I got a couple more at JoeFest. I think I snagged one or two more.
Gotcha.
And then I saw that female, and I was like, yes, there it is. Like, I was really happy to see the female Steel Brigade.
Yeah.
And then then you know what happened after that. So, you know what I'm saying, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Uh-huh. I mean, hey, you know, hey, good for them that he had the balls to do that. But
sure.
I can't help but laugh. It's a funny thing.
It's, it's weird. So you and I are talking, and the misnomer is that a lot of people think that I am completely against 1/12 scale, which I'm not. I'm actually not at all. Like I have 1/12 scale, and my beef with 1/12 scale is with G.I. Joe and 1/12 scale. And it's, it's a personal opinion, and I'm allowed to have it. And some people just delaminate when I do have it. But, when you started coming out with Action Force, with the Kickstarter and this and that, and following it for as long as I did, it was something new. It was something different. And I was having to explain the Sergeant Slaughter to somebody, and they were like, well, why does he look like that? And I'm like, well, it's Sergeant Slaughter now. And they're like, what do you mean? And I'm like, well, it's not Sergeant Slaughter from the 80s. It's like Sergeant Slaughter.
Yeah.
They just like couldn't grasp it. And they're like, but Sergeant Slaughter was in G.I. Joe. And I'm like, it's Sergeant Slaughter now. Like, how do you not understand? It's a totally different story, and it just goes over people's heads. But yeah, I'm not anti 1/12. So some people just think that I am. World Made of Cardboard. What is that one toy oh boy, here we go. What is that one toy that you designed and loved the most, but was never made and released?
Probably my 6-inch G.I. Joe line. That would have been amazing. The figures that I had coming out in wave 1, were amazing looking. And then what we had planned, for waves 2 and 3 and 4, and the San Diego Comic-Con one was amazing. The interesting thing is they got to Serpentor, and I think Serpentor was a con exclusive or some sort of fan channel exclusive. Yeah. Serpentor was my San Diego Comic-Con figure for that year, which would have been 2017.
Weird.
So because I was working on a line in 2016, that figure would have came out in 2017, and we were going to do 2 releases. So the San Diego Comic-Con version would have the Air Chariot and be the classic version, and then in wave 3, I was going to re-release Serpentor as a single carded figure, but in the black costume that he had in the late 90s, I think early 2000s line. That figure would have been amazing.
That's pretty rad.
Yeah.
Awesome. Very cool. And Zazel from Sergeant Slaughter Slaughterhouse says, "Good morning, fine folks. Looking forward to JoeFest ValaCon this year." So he's also coming all the way from Australia.
That's awesome, man. Glad you're making the trip.
Yeah, that'll be really cool. And then Jeff, Bobby, if you troll them, please post it so we can all
Listen, I don't even have enough time to get to my stuff. I don't know if I have enough time to troll somebody.
Right. Yeah. Jeff Morris, Bobby actually said booby. Hey, booby. Don't do that. Is it bad that I am glad you got laid off from Hasbro since it made you start Action Force?
It's not bad. I mean, at the end of the day, it was good that I did. I'm way more successful now than I would have ever been, 20 years at Hasbro. And, my family's financially secure and, every business is going really well. Hasbro would not have been able to offer me that. And, it's interesting because I talk with a lot of my old boss. He got laid off in 2013. Another guy I know, he got laid off in I think 2016. But I talk with all these people, and it seems like everyone that ends up leaving Hasbro always goes somewhere else and is better off. It's almost like Hasbro pulls you down and sucks the life out of you. And you're there for stability, but then you get laid off and you end up going to somewhere better, and you're more successful after that. So my old boss, I say to him all the time, every time we talk, I'm like, "Are you still mad at them?" And he said, "Every day." And now he has an amazing job with Lucasfilm, and he is very successful. And he still says he is still mad at them. And I'm the same way. I will be mad at them forever, and I will hold an absurd amount of ill will towards them because at the end of the day, I was loyal. I gave up a full-time job to go back to school to get my toy design degree, not to get into the toy industry, to work for Hasbro. I made tons of sacrifices just to work there. I got there, I busted my ass. When I was on Marvel, I handled more items than the rest of the team combined. And it's my stuff was outselling everyone's, and I was working on really, really great stuff. And I was so incredibly loyal. And what did they do? They treat you like a number. You're not a talent to them. You're a number. So, people "Oh, you just hate on Hasbro." Yes, I do. And I hate on them with good reason. Because if you're ever on the side of it that I was on, you would understand. But you want to sit there and you want to be a keyboard warrior, and you want to, be mad at me because I'm hating on Hasbro because you love their plastic crack.
The fucking bros.
Think of it from a real world scenario where someone's, life matters, and, medical benefits, and, financial stability and that sort of thing. That stuff matters more than your stupid plastic. So that's why I will always have the feelings towards them that I will. But it's those feelings that drive me to be as successful as I am now. It's almost and I'll be the first to admit, I definitely have a chip on my shoulder, and it's a very big chip. But that chip is the motivation I have every day to make Action Force as big as it is.
Yeah. And, I have to say it's completely relatable. Different scenarios, different means, but it's completely relatable. So I've been a senior leader in the Army for a long time. And I used to always tell my subordinate leaders as they were coming up within the ranks, as much as it sucks, and I've experienced toxic leadership in the Army. They're out there. There's a lot of them out there. And you can't really understand how to be a good leader and appreciate good leadership unless you've had shitty leadership.
Yep.
And the shitty leadership that I've had in the Army at some point, because you just can't get away from it. I can't just walk off. You just endure that. And there are some of them that I still remember everything about them, to the smallest detail. And all I would want to do is just throat punch them. like if given the chance. Now that I have the rank behind me, I just just throat punch the shit out of them. So
Yep.
I can completely empathize and understand with hanging on to those kinds of grudges, and they are motivators.
Yep. Yep.
It's totally understandable, and it sucks. It sucks to hear that. So I'm real sorry to hear that. And I got to ask you a question.
Sure.
So you worked on a 6-inch Joe line for Hasbro. I mean, obviously you've talked about this numerous times, but they canned it, and now they're all like, choking on the 6-inch Joe stuff. Like, what happened? Was it your stuff? Was it Legends money? Like what caused that?
It was just a different time and different leadership. So several people have tried to pitch the idea of 6-inch Legend style GI Joes years before I had done it. But when they moved me to the GI Joe brand in 2016, it was a priority for me to launch the 6-inch line. And they were like, absolutely, that's what we're doing. So we had a game plan together. Now, at the same time, they were working on a script for GI Joe 3. And there was kind of all this talk where they weren't sure if The Rock was going to come back and if it was going to be a full reboot or a soft reboot or what. So they had kind of, planned for it, if The Rock was coming back. But then they wanted to introduce all new characters and, not really have any ties to the previous 2 movies. So I was kind of weary. I'm like, well, I'll see where this goes because the first 2 movies sucked. But, I wasn't really worried about that. I was, yeah, right. I was focused on working on the product side of things. So I had designed, a full year's worth of figures and how we were going to roll it out. And, they were going to come with this. So basically, what you see with Action Force, all the hands, the stand, all the gear, that was how I pitched my version of Classified. Again, it wasn't called Classified. I forgot what we called it. We called it something else. I remember it was a kind of a stupid name like Black Series. But yeah, we were already, I had 3D models done and that sort of thing. The sculpts looked fantastic. And we were all ready to start going to tooling. And they got the script in for the 3rd movie, and it was dog shit. It was terrible. Like, I can't tell you guys what was in it, but if I told you like one aspect of it that was in there, everyone would hate G.I. Joe. It was
worse
really
than
bad.
accelerator suits?
It's way worse. Way worse.
Yes. That's what I'm talking about.
So, and at the time, the leadership at Hasbro, like the higher up people, they were big on entertainment. They always said that lines have to exist based on the entertainment surrounded by them. They have Marvel and Star Wars, they have entertainment. They would never put something out that didn't have entertainment. And it was a stupid concept. So I remember being in this meeting, and after they pushed out they canned the G.I. Joe 3 movie, I'm sitting in this meeting, and it's me and Daryl LaPrice, who's a big, Joe guy, and he worked on the brand for years. He worked on Star Wars for years. He was kind of not my boss. He was on the marketing side, but he and I worked very closely together working on this 6-inch line. And we're sitting in a meeting, and there was this woman there who was like a senior VP, and she hated G.I. Joe. She hated the brand because she was a marketer when on the Rise of Cobra line. And she got burned on that line because the line did a poor job. So she always had this bad taste in her mouth from G.I. Joe because of Rise of Cobra. So I remember like being in this meeting, and they talked about the movie getting canned, and they were like, okay, then we're just going to scrap all the 2017 line plan. And I remember like about to say like what a big mistake that was, and Daryl just kind of grabbed me by the arm, like, don't say a word, like don't say anything, because you weren't allowed to like argue their point. Once they made a point, that was it. Like you couldn't change their mind. And I just remember thinking like, classified or 6-inch Joe line can live without entertainment. And here I was right, because classified came out with no entertainment. So it's like, seeing that, I was so like, I get so pissed, because I'm like, man, we had such a great line. We would have came out with a Pursuit of Cobra feel. We wouldn't have had gold armor and Nerf blasters. So it's a bummer that didn't get made. And I get to tell the story about the bureaucracy at Hasbro and how stupid people make stupid decisions. And she was wrong and I was right, and I'm not there and she's not there anymore either, but she was making probably 200 grand a year to make that stupid decision.
Yeah.
But it is what it is, I guess.
Same shit, different organization, right?
Exactly.
I'm sure there's a lot of stories that you have that completely align with some of the crazy ass stories I have.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm
just
sure.
some random ass major, not combat arms, comes up, says some crazy ass shit of what we're gonna go do, and you just, anyway. So Matt Matson, what do you think about Steel Core?
It's
I
funny.
hope that's for you and not for me. I'm pretty sure it's for you.
It's funny. I mean, again, when I saw it at first, I was surprised, because it showed me that, like, put it this way, if I were them, aka Lenny, I would not even like go down that road. I wouldn't bring attention to my line, and all he did was just bring more attention to Action Force. So what a dummy he is. It's like, because what they did was, I saw tons and tons of comments of people saying, I like the Action Force one better. So it's like, they made it real big and bulky looking, and he's got shotgun shells on his arm, and he doesn't have any weapon that fires a shotgun. And
Nope.
it's like, okay, well, you're doing a vintage looking Steel Brigade male and female 2-pack. Okay, well, mine's been out for how many years? My female one's been out for how many years? It's like, you're not bringing anything new to the table. Like, oh, you're giving it a jump jetpack. Oh, great. Okay, great. That definitely makes me want to buy it. But it's, I think it's hilarious. And I'm glad they did it, because it reinforces what I've done. Because they put it out and they cannot call it Steel Brigade. So it's such a, and the trolls probably think I'm mad about it. I'm not mad about it. I think it's hilarious. Like,
Yeah.
One, it brings more attention to Action Force, and two, they can never ever call it that ever again.
No.
So them calling it Steel Core basically just says Valaverse wins. That's what it should say on the box. Valaverse wins.
I'm just
So
a
I think
guy
it's
on the
great.
sideline. I'm just a guy on the sideline with all of their 6-inch stuff. Like, I'll look at it. If I think something's cool, like, I will give it the credit. I'll be like, oh, that was cool. Oh, that's kind of neat. Oh,
Mhm.
hey, they put the fucking troop ramp in the back of the his tank. Okay, cool. Because it's added value when you have a giant ass vehicle. You might as well.
Yeah.
Even though they've been adverse to, like, play features for years, I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like, they did that on the Sigma 6 his tank. Way to go. Good job. So I will say when something's good, but for the most part, I'm just kind of off on the sidelines, like,
Mhm.
okay, yeah, whatever. And then I saw Steel Core, I was like, whatever. Yeah,
It's funny.
yeah,
I laugh.
yeah. And then G.I. Joe and Star Wars guy. Hey, Bobby, congrats on the great business growth. Do you
Thank you.
have any future plans to expand the media portion of your business, more frequency of comics, novels, story, etc.?
100%. I'm working on things, getting more content out there, trying to get other avenues of content. So yeah, I started working with basically like a media marketing group that is going to help expand our content, especially on our YouTube channel. So
Awesome.
yeah, all that new stuff is in the works, and we're going to be pushing as much as we can.
That's awesome. That's real cool. And then I'm just making sure I don't miss any other questions for the man. Oh, are you still against people selling Action Force on eBay? That's kind of a misnomer question. If you
I
want to
mean,
answer
I
that.
have no love for like scalping. You know, I think scalping sucks. I think it's unfortunate for the community, the collecting community. You know, now there's no law or rule against you making money on something. It's like, you know, it's like if you like, you know, I have a ton of equity in my house. Like, you know, I'm not gonna, and then it's like, yeah, I'm gonna take advantage of the person who comes and buys my house because I want the equity in my house. But you know, it's you buy what you buy, and you know, if you want to collect a certain line and it's not available, you got to go to secondary market prices, which, you know, listen, I'm a collector. I know it. Like, listen, I'm collecting vintage, or I collected vintage Star Wars last year. I finished the collection, but dude, I decided to collect vintage Star Wars at the peak of the market. Like, how do you think I felt? I was paying ridiculous secondary market prices. But
Ooh.
what I get mad about is that, you know, when people are trying to sell a figure for more, for like the selling a figure I have on the website, but you're selling it for more. It's like, well, I have it on my website. And then I
Yeah.
see like some sold listings and I'm like, why did that person pay $45 for like a version 2 Sarge when I have them on my website? Like, you know, I don't get it. Even with shipping, you're still paying less. So like I get it with the stuff that's sold out. A lot of the series 1 stuff, you know, people are paying like over like $120 for bone collectors on eBay, and I'm like, oh man, that's like, I was like, I got to reissue this figure. So hopefully now that people know that it's being reissued, those scalpers aren't making that money anymore. But it sucks because the line is becoming so popular and it's getting so many new customers each day. I get people messaging me saying like, hey, I found your line. I'm a new customer. I just bought, you know, the new stuff you have, but I missed the stuff from series 1 or some series 2 stuff. You know, I don't want to pay scalper prices. Are you going to reissue it? So I feel bad for the new people coming on and then having to go and pay those prices. Like,
Yeah.
you know, people that collected Mythic Legions early on and missed that stuff and had to pay, you know, $200 a
Mo2
figure.
Classics.
So,
Yeah.
or Mo2 Classics. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's like, that's why I don't like people selling on eBay. It's like, again, you are free to do whatever you want with something you paid for. Just like I am free to have the opinion I want for people trying to extort money for that item. It's just, you know, it's just, you know, the way of the world. You know, I don't like it, but it kind of comes with the territory. I mean, you know, I try to crack down on it where I can. I mean, if you know, I have a, you know, a blacklist, you know, at the office, where if you were someone that, you know, it's sold on eBay and but like sold ridiculous amounts and you know, we're really like, you know, scalping hardcore, I'll put you on the blacklist, and you know, you won't buy from us anymore. You can buy from someone else, buy from Big Bad or Dorkside when they were around, but you know, you're not going to buy from us. You know, it's just unfortunate, and it's like I've seen people that, you know, ask me to you know, do some stuff for them, or you know, I helped them out get something, and I ended up seeing them selling that stuff. It sucks, you know, because it's just like, well, dude, I helped you out with that, or I helped you get that, and so like, then you're gonna turn around and like sell it. Like, okay, that's cool. You know, if someone's in a bad spot and they're financially, you know, they need the money, okay, I get it. But the people that are just trying to make a couple bucks, it's like, I guess you need that money more than I do. So, you know,
Yeah, it's a lot of effort to flip it for a few bucks.
exactly.
And then old Jeremy Jernigan's here, and he says, "F you, Sarnt. We know you hate 112 scale, which is the Lord scale. I can't hear you, Staff Sergeant, because you're not at the position of fucking parade rest when you're talking to me. So I love you. Go to parade rest and wait for me to acknowledge you.
The Lord's scale.
The Lord's scale." And then old Patrick Big Bacon says, "Bobby is the epitome of when one door closes, screw him and make your own door."
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I definitely made my own door.
Good night, Jenny. You know, and I'm a huge fan of everything happens for a reason. As much as that may suck, like I've always throughout my career and all the shitty things that I've had to do, always try to tell myself like everything happens for a reason.
Yep.
And I just keep on driving on. Anyway, so we're gonna drive on off this slide as much as I love it. And you get, I don't know if you saw it, right? Because like I know you're super busy.
I didn't know we were going down this road.
Yeah, no, we're going. Well, because everybody's asking you about steel core and shit. I wanted to ask you, what are your thoughts on Matt Falcon Damon?
I mean,
just because I wanted to hear it, because I thought it would be funny.
I mean, listen, like guys, you get samples before things go out, so it's like someone approve that. Someone approve that face. Like someone said, yeah, this looks good. Now, like the thing is, if you knew, or if the person working on G.I. Joe knew anything about human anatomy, which they don't, you know, you break down a human's face, the corners of your mouth line up with the center of your eyes. These are like Julia Robert lips, like they extend all the way to your ears. So
yeah,
I saw this and I'm like, ooh, that was a bad one. And it's like, well, someone thought it looked good. Someone who makes stupid decisions thought that looked good. What I do like is
didn't even look that bad.
Yeah, but you know, when these things, like when my figures, the digital printing on the face, it doesn't, you don't nail it on the first try. Like it takes a couple rounds. So, you know, I make lots of comments on the face when they do the digital printing, just because you want it to look good. Like if something's off on a face, like this is bad. First of all, it's like, you know, they made the lips too dark. They're too dark, so now it looks even worse because they're so big. But it's just, he just looks like this rough green beret looks like he's scared, like he shouldn't be there. So it's tough because I loved Falcon, the figure of Falcon as a kid.
Yeah.
So it's unfortunate that this happened. But I mean, I get entertainment out of it.
You know, so do I. I actually bought this figure just to shit on it. I bought it just to do a car rent and then mail it to somebody.
Oh, okay. I've yet to see it in person. I've only seen like pictures online. But it's bad, man. It's really bad. What I do like is that people have been swapping out that head and putting blowback from my line on this figure.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe I should just sell a pack of blowback heads for people.
Yeah. You're like, fix your Falcon the Action Force way. Yeah.
Right.
And then we got a super chat from Brandon. Thank you very much, Brandon. It says, I want vehicles. 1/12 scale vehicles are big. I get that, but why not 1 or 4 standard frames with modular options, body parts like people mod cars? Well, Bobby, we're going to talk about a certain vehicle here in a minute.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. So
yeah.
Yeah. We're going to get to that. Cool. All right. Chat. I think they're all talking to each other. Oh, World Made of Cardboard. Bobby, you have done something incredible. You picked up after job loss began. You have brought diverse collectors together from around the world. A great accomplishment. Oh, okay. Very good.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. And then, you know, since I'm cool too, Backwood says, "What's up, Chad? Oh, what's up, dude? Yeah. I'm here too. You know, you guys care. My name is Chad. I'm a Chad. World Made of Cardboard again. Will you buy a steel core?
I mean, it's no secret. I buy a lot of classified stuff. I'm not sure if I'll buy that one. You know what? I might buy it to put like on my shelf as like a win. It'll almost be like you won a trophy. Like that'll be my trophy.
Yeah.
You know what? I'll put that next to my Toy of the Year award that I have from Hasbro.
And then a Mega 579 says the steel core jetpacks have the smoke before the fire. I'm gonna have to look at that.
Yeah. Well, that just goes to show you the people working on this stuff have no clue what they are doing. Like
the
that's
engine
why
of vengeance, it was all effed up too, right?
Yeah, that because they were putting the smoke on the front tires when that thing is rear wheel drive.
Rear wheel drive.
But
Yeah.
but like the classified stuff, it's like Flint had a break barrel pump action shotgun, which we all
Yeah.
know is impossible.
Mhm.
And now, if you look, Big Ben has a double barreled M4 with a standard mag. Cannot happen. It
I'll
absolutely
have to
cannot
go look
happen.
at that. I
So it's one single mag and two barrels. Impossible.
and it's not supposed to be like a church key or something. It's just a jacked up rifle.
It's a jacked up M4.
I'll
But it's
have to
just
go look at it.
it's
Yeah.
it's somebody dumb, somebody who's fat and dumb on those live streams, thinking everything's cool. I got an idea. Let's make it double barreled. It'll look so cool. No, dummy.
Actually, Mr. Vala, it's a blaster. Thank you.
Oh.
What's the thing with that? Do you know? Was that bullshit when you were there? Like they don't want to call them guns or rifles. They got to call them blasters.
There's a well, that all started with Marvel. You know, when I was on Marvel, they cracked down on guns, which I thought was funny because you have Deadpool and Punisher blowing people away in the comics.
Oh yeah.
But when it comes to your toys, it's not okay. Now I see it from a business standpoint from them. Hasbro is making toys that are 4+. Now, even though we know who buys Legends and it's adults, they still have to be age graded 4+ because of their contract.
Right.
So they didn't want guns to appear in an item that had 4+ on it. Stupid. I know. You know, it's like I did a 12-inch Deadpool figure and we had to glue the gun into the holster. You know, and then but then it was like, it was strict no guns. And then I did the World War II Captain America on the motorcycle, and they nixed the Thompson in the 1911, and I was pissed. But then I saw when it finally came out, they were included with it. So it was like they would say yes, and then they would say no, and they would keep going back and forth on what they were saying. But like the Nerf team, if you said gun, you got yelled at. They said it's blaster. You call it a blaster. So it was like they drived home that whole blaster word. And I think that kind of trickled down to the other teams, and all the other teams started calling them blasters.
So now it's like the drinking of the Kool-Aid kind of thing.
Yep. But now it's like the G.I. Joe team, they course corrected. They started putting real guns with the figures. But I think, you know, the dummies on the live streams are still calling them blasters.
Yeah. And it's weird because like they'll say shotgun, but then they'll say heavy blaster for like a open bolt machine gun. And I'm like, okay. Then you just say spear gun. I'm like, you didn't call it a spear blaster? Like, I don't understand. Like if you put another word in front of it, does it make it okay? Their rules are kind of strange.
They don't even know what they're doing.
No, it's fake it till you make it. And then Necro's asking any thoughts or plans on Action Force animated series movie. You've talked about the Action Force movie at length numerous times.
Yeah. The Action Force movie. Hopefully, we're gonna have some new big news to share at ValaCon. An animated series I have been pushing for quite a while now. So I can't say much, but I can say that it's something that I want to happen.
Rad. So I always try to get nuggets. When Ed was on, I specifically told him that I was going to ask some questions. If he didn't have an answer, didn't want to answer, he could say pass. Are you going to do a panel this year?
Yes.
Cool. Because I know that he was still kind of working on it, and he was like, I'm still working on that part. And I was like, well, I'll just fucking
I mean, listen, if he came to me and said, hey, we're gonna cut panels, I would find a way to do a panel. You know, if it was after hours or something like that, you know, I would do a panel. But, you know, it's like, I know that I don't know how the other people's panels do. I've seen a few of them, and I'm not trying to, like, you know, hate on anyone who does panels there, but when we do a panel, we fill that entire room.
Yeah.
When other people do panels, they fill a couple seats. So I don't know, you know, if he's going to keep doing panels, or maybe they just do them on one day. But, you know, panels are part of a convention, so I feel like you should have them. But I'll be in touch with him, and we'll figure it all out.
Yeah. He said he was still working on the lineup for the panels, and I was like,
Mm.
I don't see there's any way that Valaverse wouldn't do it, because I mean, last year you had people like hooting and hollering and shit, and like they were almost doing keggers, like it was wild as hell in there.
Yeah, I told you we filled up that room. It was
Oh, I know.
standing room, and it
I
was
was
great.
there, and then old Mr. Jernigan says you need dragons. And you could call
No
them dragon heart dragons.
dragons. Where am I going to put
Heart
dragons? They were trying to get me to do a
Valaverse heart
horse.
dragons.
They were telling me I had to do a horse last night on the show. They were like, "You got to do a horse."
Do you?
No,
You gotta?
I don't.
Yeah, I don't know. So, I don't know if you gotta. And then Big Bacon says Matt Damon for $2. Matt Damon. Yeah, I bought it just to make videos about it, and then that was it. And then Cutthroat. I love when Bobby put Duster on sale. Now I have an army of Dusters.
There you go.
Yeah, buddy. That's a great figure too.
It's a great figure.
So and then Pete says, "Dear God, Chad, stop that ugly falcon from staring at us."
It has been up for a bit.
Fair enough. Okay, moving on. So you want to talk about this?
Ooh, this can be a good one.
All right,
So
let's hear it for anybody who doesn't know.
This is one of our, I guess you could say, 3 exclusives for JoeFest, aka ValaCon. ValaCon will have 3 exclusives this year, and this is one that we unveiled at ValaFair, and we wanted to do something a little cool. I can't remember if this was my idea or Tony's idea. I think it was mine, but I thought, how cool would it be is if we did like a one-off vintage desert rat, just like how the figures were designed in the original Palatoy line, and we'll put them on a blister card, just like the original line. And who better to team with than Stan Solo, who does amazing Star Wars items.
Yeah.
So Tony and Chris are close, and Tony got me connected with Chris, and Chris was able to help out get this thing perfect, and we showed it, and I think it's so cool, and I have it a sample at my office, which is amazing, and I can't wait to see him on the carded version. And Tony's gonna sign all of the carded versions that we sell at the show, and we'll have some loose versions and some carded versions, so if you buy one or the other or both, but it's gonna be a really cool figure. Very, very cool little throwback to the original line.
Yeah, I have to say, when I saw you guys debut this at the Vala Fair, I was like, what the shit? That thing is rad. So having the Action Force stuff, and there's the sum that's like the O-ring Joes, and then there's the 5 POA ones like this. As soon as I saw it, I was like, get out. I thought it was fake at first, because you guys like accidentally talked about it, right? It wasn't something like that. It was like accidentally shown.
Yeah, Tony showed it too early. We had it planned for like 10 minutes into the show. It would have been our first reveal, so it wasn't that bad, but he ended up like messing something up and flashed the image of it on the screen, and I was like, well, I guess we're starting with that one.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I freaking love it. And I'm really looking forward to picking up one of these for sure. Just because the whole lineage with Action Force, it's Tony, fellow combat arms dude, and yeah, it's just freaking awesome. And I'm so glad you guys did this figure.
Yeah, it's a fun one.
Yeah. Yesterland Toys. Hey Bobby, if you could have one figure to do from Classifieds other than Steel Brigade, which one would it be, and how would you incorporate it into Action Force?
There is a figure or a character. I can't say what it is because you may be getting that figure.
Ooh.
Or a similar version of that figure. So you'll know when you see it this fall, and you'll know where I was going with it. So yeah.
Is it centered around G.I. Joe, or is it centered around Action Force?
Well, it's an Action Force character. It'll be an Action
Hey,
Force
okay, I'm with
character.
you. I'm with you. I'm with you. All right.
It's my Action Force character, but yeah, you'll see. You'll see.
Okay. So since he's asking the question to me, same question to you, Chad. What would you want to see Bobby incorporate from Classified into Action Force? Classified? Nothing. Palatoy Action Force? Baron Ironblood. That's my answer. That's my freaking answer. Jeff, Chad, are you and the ma'am cosplaying at JoeFest? And if so, anything special? The ma'am's not going, Jeff. The ma'am's going to be at Camp Roberts, California for all of June. I am going. And instead of my Cobra officer, I'm going to do a Stinger driver because the Finest is bringing a 1-to-1 scale life-size Stinger. So I'm going to do that.
Well,
that'd be pretty rad. Okay, so making sure I'm not missing anything. Oh, will Valaverse do a 1/18 scale Action Force figure with vehicles?
there are no plans to do 3 3/4 inch figures.
Bam.
This is a one-off. This is a one-off convention fun thing. There are no plans to go smaller with the line.
But you know what? Just the fact that you did a 5 POA Action Force figure and it's Desert Rat and it's Tony's Desert Rat. Like you're just tying in layers upon layers upon layers and a freaking JoeFest exclusive. It's good for you guys. It's good for Ed and his people. It's just awesome. Yeah. It's just it's fucking cool.
Like, sure. I mean, it would be cool, now that I'm just kind of spitballing ideas, is if we did an O-ring version of the modern Steel Brigade. Yeah. I think there'd be something fun about that. So
that would be fun.
Maybe next year.
And then I'm going to throw it up because he's asking, right? I don't believe in ignoring people's questions. Are we going to see a 1/18 modern style take on current Action Force figures?
Nope. Listen, I know there's a lot of 1/18 diehard fans out there, but when I did this line, I knew it was always going to be 6-inch. Working at Hasbro, I was on the Marvel brand and I was working on the 4-inch Marvel line. And, I saw the writing on the wall. It was like the costs were going up and then you had to increase price and people weren't going to pay that for a 4-inch figure. And then 6-inch came back into the play and, the fans wanted 6-inch. They didn't want 4-inch. Now, Star Wars, you see something very similar. It's like, they're still doing the vintage collection, but it's nowhere near what it used to be.
No.
And Black Series is the new thing. And it's like, you kind of got to have to roll with the times. Now, I also see it from like, the 12-inch G.I. Joe fans, like the old timers. Mm-hmm. They saw, the 3 3/4 inch figures come out in the 80s and they were probably pissed, and they were like, well, that's not my G.I. Joe. And, they were ride and die with 12-inch. So now it's like you see less and less of those collectors. And then, everyone was collecting 3 3/4, and it was 3 3/4 all through, with 25th anniversary and Pursuit of Cobra and, the shitty movies and 30th anniversary and Retaliation. And then all of a sudden it was just like, here's 6-inch. So, but it's the scale now. Like, look at companies that are doing 4-inch figures still. They're not doing well. So, there's not an uber successful 4-inch line out there right now. So, people that are still doing 4-inch stuff, it's like you have to admit that 6-inch is the scale and you have to change with the times. I saw it, so I knew, like, granted, I'm more of a 4-inch fan than I am a 6-inch fan. Like, I have my Joe, I call it the Joe room downstairs in my basement. It's a, 500 square foot room that has every single G.I. Joe figure in it. Every vintage figure, every modern figure, every single figure, every club figure, all of it.
Yeah.
I love the 4-inch line, but 6-inch is where the future is. Who knows how long that's going to last? Maybe something different will come, in 10 years or 15 years, who knows? But right now it's 6-inch.
I understand 6-inch works for whatever it works for, and I think it's all well and good for superpowers and spandex. I also think it's all well and good for your stuff because your stuff is original. My issue with GI Joe, and I completely get where you're going with the 12-inch versus the 3 3/4 people, because the old 12-inch collectors were like, that's not bad. Look at that little GI Joe. That's not GI Joe. However, pause for dramatic effect. When they fucking came out with the Real American Hero, they didn't put out Bullet Man.
That's true.
And then when they come out with Classified, they didn't do Bullet Man. They didn't do fucking Eagle Eye Joe. Yep. They're doing a Real American Hero. That's my beef with Classified. You got Marvel Legends characters that look kind of like G.I. Joe. Like that Dusty, the more I stare at that Dusty, the weirder he gets. The weirder he gets. And I'm like, you're like trying to be Dusty. Like you look like somebody from The Finest, the costume club that I'm a part of, like dressed up as Dusty. Well, you don't look like Dusty. That's just me. But if they would have done something different, 300 issues, of the comic run that's been going since 2011.
Yep.
Just do something different, man. Yep. Like there's Storm Shadow. I get it. It's Storm Shadow, but that's just my personal opinion. So, and but I also, when people buy them, I don't go, oh, you're stupid, because I would never do. I would never do that. So, oh, here you go. This is actually a fun question. Would you consider licensing another company to do 1/18 of your characters? Ooh.
I'd be open to it. Sure.
I know a lot of people that do 1/18 scale stuff.
Yeah, I'd be open to it. It'd have to be done right and on a pretty grand scale. But yeah, I'd be open to it.
I actually thought that was a pretty good question.
Yeah. I mean, listen, my emails and number are always open. So if anyone wants to come calling, I'll talk to you.
Yeah. And then Jeff says, Chad, so you don't want 12 versions of Snake Eyes in 6-inch? No, I don't. I really don't. I mean, awesome. What are they at now? 8 Snake Eyes? What the? I mean, we all understand, like all of us who love G.I. Joe, we know that the original 13, like how many had the same heads? It's a thing. It's understandable. I mean, look at Masters of the Universe. Like they all have the same freaking forearms and, torsos and everything. And it's understood. That's the thing. But you didn't get like, oh, here's 8 He-Man figures.
Yeah.
Whatever. Anyway, so I'm going to move on. You want to talk about this guy?
I don't even know what to say.
Oh, this thing freaking blew me away. Away.
Yeah, this is. I've had this one in the works for quite a while now. This one, and when I was planning Valafair, I knew that this was how we were going to end Valafair with this one. This one was the highlight of the whole show. This is a figure that is coming as part of Series 4 in early 2024. And this is the Crimson Shadow Praetorian. And he's just amazing. I found a designer who's an amazing robot designer. And I said, this is what I need. And he designed, this figure for me. And, I said, it needs to have this, it needs to have this, it needs to have this. So like that giant, energy blade on its arm, that comes off. The kind of the force fields with the ricochet effects, those all come off. And, he's got a bunch of weapons, a bunch of hands. He's got a stand. So this is a good one. This is a very, very good figure. I'm excited about this one.
Yeah, this dude is slick. He's slick all day. When I first saw this image, it immediately took me back to kind of the awe that I had the first time playing Metal Gear Solid and seeing Gray Fox like fully emerge in the cyborg ninja.
Yeah.
When he just stands up and he decloaks, and I was like, God, this guy looks like the shit. I just thought it was awesome. as soon as I saw this image, this particular image, and I freaking love it. Yeah.
I cannot wait for this figure to come out. He's so cool.
Yeah, this thing's absurd. And then like everybody, it's like, oh, I want this. It's a mic drop. Figure's amazing. And then here's a question for you. Any comments on Selfie Series? Fucking hate that kid.
Well, I mean, it's terrible. I mean, it's funny. Hasbro, and it's like, listen, when you're a corporation, you have to do all these PR moves, but when you do these kind of wild PR moves, they don't work. They're just for flash effect. I can remember, I don't remember what year at Toy Fair it was, but Mattel had this Barbie thing at their booth, and it was like a virtual reality Barbie. And they got all this press about this virtual reality Barbie. The funny thing is they had no intention of making it. They just wanted a wow factor to get the big press at Toy Fair. Have no intention of making that Barbie. Now, Hasbro does stuff with like windowless packaging for the environment. Okay, so you're going to trade plastic that could be recycled for trees that you're going to cut down, but you're saving the environment. Oh, okay. Hey, while you're at it, nice job on those figure swaps for customers. So there's a PR move that didn't work. And then it was like, they did the selfie series, and I'm like, these look bad. They look really bad. Now, they were working on this back in 2015 or 2016. I remember they had a guy there working on this segment, the segment that would be 3D printed stuff for customers. And he ended up leaving and going to another company. So then Hasbro was like, oh shit, what do we do now? So they kind of just shelved it for some years. Now, granted, it's a good thing that they did, because back then, the technology was probably even worse. But now it's like, I see it and I'm just like, this is really bad. Like, and what I find funny is the people that get theirs in and it looks bad and it looks nothing like them, yet they're like, look at I'm so excited for my selfie series. This is great. And it's like, dude, come on. That looks like shit. So granted, I get the excitement. I get the excitement of being a fan and having your head on a figure. Not everyone gets that opportunity. But it's not good. It's really not good. I mean, we're just not there with that technology yet. So, maybe in 5 years, maybe, but it's not there.
Especially to make it as plug and play as they're trying to do with like a phone app. And, it's so plug and play and like third party removed. And then you get it and it's like fucking Sloth from the Goonies. And you're like, who the hell is that? And then at the you're putting it on Snake Eyes, not even like a Steel Core or a Cobra Trooper. It's like, Scarlet's an actual character. Why are you putting your lady's face on Scarlet? You know what I mean?
Right. Well, what I found funny about that is, what was it, like $70 to do it? So the figure, they chose the cheapest figure they can make, an all black Snake Eyes, no deco. And it's like, Scarlet has deco, so it's like, we'll save the money and we'll do this Snake Eyes, because we'll just overcharge these people on this. Now, I mean, it's bad. I would love to be a fly on the wall and see how those did, like, numbers wise. Like, how many people did they actually get to actually do this? $70
they say
is a
about
lot.
suckers. So
yeah, well, $70 is a lot of money, and there's a lot of figures that people want to buy. So do you spend $70 on a figure you most likely already have and a bad face print, or do you buy, two figures and something else for $70?
Yeah, and that was my whole rant about it too. I was like, it's like a $4 buck and a $66 head that looks like dog shit.
And at the end of the day, it's still 3D printed material, which is brittle material. It's not. I get a lot of flack because I'm very hard on the 3D printed like community.
Yeah.
I don't like it. I just don't think like it's fine for like small boutique stuff. It will never, ever, ever replace injection molded plastic. Never.
No.
I don't care who says that the resin is this super space age resin that is better than plastic. No, 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 no. No resin that comes from a filament is ever going to replace injection molded plastic.
No, because it's heated up and it's layered out, and you can still just.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, I have some small 4-inch scale vehicles like Mega Force stuff and Mega Destroyer and whatever, but that, I mean, you're talking small. I'm not trying to do anything ridiculous. And heads, yeah, absolutely. If you think you're gonna get that figure and pop that head off and put it on something else, as soon as you go to pop it off, like you're gonna break something.
Sure.
And then Matthew wants to know, when is the line gonna go to space?
When it dies.
Speaking of which, I had Kirk Bazigian on my 90s show that I do, that Neon at Night, about 90 to 94 Joe, and he and I were talking about, how Star Brigade held off Star Wars coming back and this, that, and he had a lot of awesome, really nice things to say about you, of course, because Kirk loves you to
He's
death.
great.
But we spent a long time talking about Star Brigade, and somebody threw in the comment that you had said about space.
Well, I said it because he says it. Yeah. He said going to space killed G.I. Joe.
Yeah, and he laughed. He laughed when somebody put that in there.
So it's like, like, okay, I listen, if I ever go to space with Action Force, you could predict either the line's dying or I'm drinking a lot.
Just cross this out. Space Force. Yeah. Drew G. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, there are not ports on the legs. There are ports on the forearms, on the shoulders, and on the back. So see those red panels, where all those red panels are the ports where you could plug those in.
Very cool. I get you. Cool. There's your answer, Drew. Now say thank you. Yeah, and then Jeff says my jaw just hit the floor. Doomhugger, I hope we get lots of repaints of this guy.
Yeah, that's going to be the good thing about him, is we can do all sorts of different attachments and different arms and different accessories and do squadrons of these guys. So we're going to be doing Praetorians for a while.
Cool. So you actually just answered this question right here. Will the Praetorian have different variations in the future? Yeah, cool.
Yes, they will.
Very awesome. World Made of Cardboard. Bobby, didn't you say you used your head as the basis for a Marvel figure?
So I was on the Iceman figure for an X-Men box set that I worked on. And I was the last employee to be put in plastic on a figure, because after that they had a rule placed across company-wide that no employees could have their likeness put on a figure, just because I guess they figure you can like sue them later or something like that. But yeah, so it's fun to know that I was the last one.
I mean, that's cool that you're the last one. But his last question, I guess it's rhetorical. Did you inadvertently create the Selfie Series? Where I mean, they've been doing that going all the way back to A Real American Hero. So, but
yeah, right? No, I did not. I had nothing to do with it.
That's awesome. Okay, cool. So we're gonna move. Oh, might as well throw this up, right? When you're drinking a lot, so the line went to space during the Articulated Ninja show. Then
we were having some drinks then.
Yeah,
I don't think I mentioned space. That I'll have to go back and listen to that show.
Space. Cool. You want to talk about these?
Yeah, some more troopers coming for the female line. We have a lot of basic troopers in the male line, and we're gonna follow suit and do the same thing for the female line. So in the spring, we are getting these 2 new troopers. So with the male figures, you're also getting a new desert male trooper, and then we're gonna have the same color coinciding female trooper to go with it.
Very cool. Yeah, these are great looking figures.
Thanks.
Very rad. What about this guy? So yeah, when I saw this dude, I was like, oh, this guy speaks to me on like 20 different levels. Talk about old salty.
Yeah.
What do you got for Colonel Siege?
So that's our leader of Action Force. He is the guy that runs the show. And I wanted this guy that, like, I took every grizzled, military character ever made, and I said, what if we did like a Serpentor version of them and took cues from every one of these cool characters? I'm influenced a lot by movies, and while my friends do not like this movie, and it pains me that they don't like the movie, I'm a big fan of the movie Fury. And Brad Pitt's character, he's this grizzled sergeant who's been around forever. He there's something very cool about his character. There's something cool about Liam Neeson and A-Team, Hannibal. So it's like taking a lot of those, the essences of those characters. That's how I wanted the leader of Action Force to be. I wanted this guy that could still beat the crap out of someone today, but also you can look at him and you can tell that he's been in some wars. Yeah, see, I knew I shouldn't have said it. Yeah, Tony and Michael hate that movie. I don't. I understand their hatred for it. So they're not wrong. It is inaccurate for the time. However, I can separate myself and watch certain things for what they are as just a movie. And if I just watch that movie for what it is, I like it a lot.
Yeah, Fury's a roller coaster.
Yeah.
And then Necro says, give him a lever action shotgun.
I love lever action shotguns. For him, I wanted him to feel like he was an old cowboy. Like his character is from Texas, and I wanted him to, feel like he was still kind of stuck in the old West, but modernized. So he's got modern, rhinos, revolvers, but I wanted his holster to look like it was something that, was from the old West, and it kind of had that feel to it.
Yeah, it definitely has a little bit of that 6-shooter flair going on with it. And then
Miles Quaritch, yeah, I can see a little bit of that. I mean, he's another guy, another grizzled vet,
Well, plus it's slang, right? Stephen Lang.
Stephen Lang, yeah.
You can't go wrong with him.
You can't. He's great.
Yeah, that dude's boss. And I actually threw up a comment about someone was happy that you mentioned A-Team, as was I. I was having a conversation on another stream about the A-Team, and I said how I really liked the movie. And I was like, well, it's a remake. I was like, it really does a lot to honor the show. It doesn't shit on it.
I love that movie, and I know a lot of people
freaking do too.
I know a lot of people hate it, and I know it didn't do well, like financially. I watch that movie every time it's on.
It's hilarious. They're talking about getting Bell's palsy from the secret sauce on the steak and shit, and I'm like, that dude is Murdoch all day. He's Murdoch.
Yep.
I don't know. I liked it. The van, and I thought that Rampage Jackson did a good job as BA. And,
Sure.
I don't know. Whatever. People like what they like, don't like what they don't like. And then Tony's saying that Barbarian's better than Destroyer. What's up?
Here we go.
Grab him.
You know what? And take him.
I'm
starting to think, there's nothing wrong with me. There's probably something wrong with Tony. Like, I think what I like is right, and what you like is wrong. Oh wait, no, now I sound like a toy group, keyboard warrior. No, what I like is the right thing to like. You have to like what I like.
But are you a toy guru?
I am the toy guru and the only toy guru. I am
not to be confused with that guy.
Yeah, I am the self-proclaimed only toy guru.
I dig it. Danjamin, aka Balake, does he need a cigar?
He does. Can't you see it in the picture?
He's got it right there.
So he has an alternate head that has the cigar in his mouth, and then he also has an alternate hand that is holding the cigar.
Yeah, which you can see on the on the image of the buck there. And then Brandon's asking, Western aesthetic galore, will you build him a faction like a posse? But you already answered that.
I mean, his posse's Action Force. He's the leader of Action Force. So that's his posse.
Is he from Texas?
He is from Texas.
What part of Texas?
I haven't figured that out yet. Texas. I'm taking suggestions, though, for those Texans out there that want him to represent your area.
Where were the Branch Davidians?
Waco.
Waco.
He will not be from Waco.
No? Okay.
He will not.
All right.
I might make him from, I'm trying to remember where Stone Cold Steve Austin's from. Victoria? He's from
Somebody
Victoria.
in the chat, Google where Stone Cold Steve Austin's from.
Yeah, he might be from Victoria, or that they might have billed him from Victoria, but he's from somewhere else. But maybe I'll make him from wherever Stone Cold was from.
And then Jeff Reed's going back to A-Team, and he said, it's a movie where they fly a tank. How could you not love it?
Right?
Right.
100%.
They're flying a tank. Snyderverse sucks.
All right, can we kick him out of the chat? We're done with this guy.
No,
he's gone.
I don't want to do that.
He's gone.
I don't want to get in between something, but
damn you, Tony. You know what? We only have 2 JoeFest exclusive figures this year. We're not doing the Desert Rat figure this year.
Ooh.
Yeah, take that. Who's got the control now, boss?
Ooh. Stand up for yourself, Tony. Hey, yeah, I hope Tony sticks around, because I got something for him at the end of my slideshow here.
Okay.
And then and then Pericles is quoting the first one. But that's a good quote, but so is yours. I like yours. And then Ted says Red Sonja beats them both.
Wow.
Whoa.
That's some dedication right there.
Dang. What's his character's name? He's not even Conan.
Yeah, he's not even Conan.
Yeah, he's not even Conan. He's some other dude. He's Conan, but not Conan.
Yeah.
What's your name?
He's
not
something
Conan.
stupid like Keldor or something like that.
It's something ridiculous. I'm sure you can see that. Yeah.
Wow, Ryan. That's just scandalous right there.
Oh, he's from Killeen. Well, that's Fort Hood. That could work. Right?
Interesting.
Stone Cold's from Killeen, which is where the MAM just was for 2 weeks. And Killeen's Fort Hood. Whatever.
Oh, I wonder if he's saying that he's from Killeen.
I don't know. Yeah.
Stone Cold's from Killeen.
Because then, I don't know. Matthew's saying Beaumont. This would say whatever. I don't know. I think they're all just talking about, they're just throwing out shit in Texas. Will Action Force make a figure of a celebrity like Matt Damon, or will we just need to use Falcon?
I mean, listen, it's smart on their part. They were like, hey, listen, we could do a Jason Bourne figure without calling him Jason Bourne.
Yeah, he's
don't show him again.
Yeah, too late. There he is.
Here you go, everyone. Here's your Jason
classified
Bourne figure.
Jason Bourne. That's what he is. That's what I should have called him. Damn it, man. Beat me to it. Victoria, they're all just throwing out shit in Texas. Jim Largo, Bobby, does Colonel Siege have a history with Carrick?
You never know. You never know.
Ooh, I like that answer. It's almost like saying pass. And then Tony says Colonel Siege is awesome. I love this character. Yeah, very cool.
Oh, look who's coming around now.
Oh, best reveal of Valaverse for me was Desert Ops Condor. Yeah,
that was a good one.
Stone Cold was born in Victoria, but
The
Build from Austin.
Gotcha.
Bat City. Okay.
Okay.
Whatever. You been to Austin, yeah?
I have been to Austin. I went there when we filmed some video with Tim Kennedy.
Oh, very cool. I used to always go for South by Southwest.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But,
It was Austin's a weird place, man. Very weird place.
Yeah, it's kind of like Santa Fe.
I didn't really dig it because it doesn't feel like Texas. Like I felt like I was in Rhode Island. You know, I saw a lot of hipsters and stuff, and I'm like, wait a second, this is Texas. What's going on here?
Yeah. Yeah. It's like when you talk to Texans, it's like the one spot of Texas that they don't consider Texas.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of weird like that. But yeah, everybody's saying Victoria. He's from Victoria.
Got it.
And then Danjamin says I get cable vibes from him. I definitely see the Fury. I see the Fury vibe.
Sure.
For sure. Yeah. But anyway, he's a freaking awesome
Thanks,
character.
man.
Are you going to have any mock-ups or anything like that of these figures at ValaCon?
I mean, it wouldn't be Valleycon without some stuff like that.
Hell yeah, that's awesome. What about this stuff?
Weapons, man.
This is gun porn all day.
Yep. We are. Listen, Valaverse is the leader in 1/12 scale weapons, hands down.
Yeah.
And we are going to continue to defend our title, and this is my throne, so I'm going to keep doing amazing weapons that people use to put in place of other people's weapons. I'm definitely very happy with all the weapons that we do. Mark from Mark II Designs, he does all of my weapons currently, and he does an amazing job. But we're doing something that we try to look at what's out there, and we try to do things different from other people, and like things like the shotgun, the tactical shotgun. We have a version that is silver with red shells on the side. We have a version that's black with green shells. Well, we're not gluing those shells in so that you can swap them between the two shotguns. So if you want the red on the black or you want the green on the silver, you can do that. All those blasters. Yeah.
I had to put that up there for you. And then Andrew threw in a sly little RoboCop quote, guns, guns, guns. And then Jeffrey said McFarlane can learn a lot from your weapons packs.
I mean, it was a smart move that he did. Maybe not executed perfectly, but he looked at it like, okay, well, if Warner's won't let me do guns, then I'll just do a gun pack.
And then the figures still have the hands like this.
Yeah.
Jerkmonger. When are these all going to be released?
So all these weapon packs are coming in the spring.
There you go. Hell yeah, dude. I know my movie quotes. What's up? And then I start a question up here for you, good sir. Chris from Cutthroats asking, Bobby, will Killswitch ever get her own faction?
That's an odd question because she's part of Action Force. So why would she have her own faction? There are no members of Action Force that have their own faction. I mean, Steel Brigade is Steel Brigade, but Condor's part of Action Force and Trigger. And so that I just didn't know how to answer that question just because I thought it was pretty obvious that she's part of Action Force.
Yeah. Anyway, the barrel smoke effect is freaking sweet.
Yeah, that was, I was looking forward to adding that one in.
Yeah, they're so good.
Yeah, especially with the pistols with the slides open. So it's like you can make it so it looks like you're firing, or you can make it so it looks like you're out of ammo.
Yeah, it's just the toyetic kind of posability and all the options that you have are just fantastic with this stuff. And then here's I don't know if this is just kind of a shit ass question. Spring begins tomorrow. Are pre-orders going up tomorrow then?
No. I don't think we're doing pre-orders for these. I think we're going to, I'm always looking to do things differently from other companies, and I'm trying to break the mold. So I think that I'm just going to put these up for sale when they're here. so that when you buy them, you get them. You know, companies aren't really doing that anymore. You know, it's like, oh, we're doing standard pre-orders and, you know, X amount of months before you get your thing. Well, I mean, we're at the point where, you know, we put all this stuff into production without having to get anyone's money. You know, we're using our own money to put all this stuff in the production. So,
Yep.
you know,
Rolling.
yeah, I think it would be very cool to just say, hey, these are going up for sale tomorrow, and they're here.
See, that's awesome, right?
Mhm.
There's always that balance between hype and availability.
Yep.
And
Yep.
I think that's really cool. George Aiken's asking, what about environmental packs like a desert pack with tents, med kits, et cetera, et cetera?
It's an interesting idea. You know, I'm trying to look at like what they did on G.I. Joe, Real American Hero, when they like did like the bivouac and, you know, the Checkpoint Alpha, like doing those small kind of
Yeah, battlefield
sets.
accessories.
Yeah, I think there's something there to that. So it's just a matter of figuring out what that is.
Very cool. Very cool indeed. Yeah, cool. Old staff sergeant again. Can we get the 20-foot cloud of dust that the Barrett kicks up every time you fire it?
I mean, listen,
It has to be conical.
I remember like when I was talking to Mark about the Barrett, and I said, listen, I want a muzzle flash that's absurd. I want a muzzle flash because when you fire a Barrett, it literally sends like a giant concussion out, and you see it. It's visual.
Yeah.
So I said, I want a muzzle flash that, you know, embodies that. And I think what we came up with was fantastic.
Yeah. The
And
overpressure is real.
yeah, yeah. And it's like, you know, I love those videos of people laying down, then their whole body shakes when you fire it. But yeah, I mean, I can't wait to see people like the toy photographers that, you know, throw the dust up in their shots. Having someone firing the Barrett and then throwing all that dust up and getting that nice shot was going to be pretty cool.
Yeah, that's really awesome. And then Jim Largo, when does Pandora get her Atlantic City associates in figure form?
Mm. Well, Jim, I think 2024 might be kind to the Devil's Grin crew.
That's awesome. Very cool. Want to talk about this?
Sure.
All right, let's get into it. What do we got here, good sir?
Oh, you know, just a little something with some wheels. You know, put your figures
Well,
inside and roll it around.
we need room.
We need vroom.
There it is, right there.
That's the Vanguard. So yeah, we're getting there on this one. I know it's taken a while, but I want to make sure this thing is perfect. So you know, as of right now, it fits 5 figures inside. You know, you can have 2 in the front, 2 in the back, trunk monkey in the back, and then you can have the optional 6th guy on the top in
Your
the
bullet sponge.
turret. Yep. So definitely fit a lot of guys. You know, it'll. I knew Jeremy would like that. So this is going to be cool because, like, you know, there's going to be an area in the trunk where there's going to be a M240 Bravo on a control arm that can plug into the inside of the trunk. So when it's open, you could fire out the back of it. You know, this is going to be awesome. It does have a top, middle, and bottom. Sure does. But you could take the doors off. You can swap out the top turret for, you know, a rocket turret. This is going to be a good one. Working on
For that.
Yeah, working on doing a working winch in the front. So yeah, and then hoping to get it under $300.
I don't know why that slide's all assed up, but whatever. Yeah, this vehicle looks freaking awesome. Will it have a jack and a spare tire?
Now you're just getting greedy. There will be rubber tires.
Will it have working turn signals, sir?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, this freaking thing, like the whole modular turret design, I thought was it's a really awesome touch to put in that.
Now I'm still trying to figure out if we're going to do the Vanguard on its own and then make the turrets like accessory packs that we do with the figures and sell them on their own. So we'll have to look and see how we're going to do that. Because cost is a big, thing with this. And I've said from the start that I'm not doing this thing if the cost is too high,
Right.
because I'm not going to get greedy. And I just don't think someone should be paying $300 for a 1/12 scale vehicle.
Will it come with a cardboard backdrop or a bag of bones?
That's one of the unlocks.
Cardboard backdrop.
Yeah.
Very cool. Will it have lights?
Excuse me. It does not at the moment, but say the cost comes back and the cost is really good and we have some room to put some lights in it, we might do that. But we got to figure all that out as time goes on.
Right, because your main like 50-meter target is price point.
Yes.
Yeah, totally understandable. Because gee whiz, if that's not how commerce works, right?
Right.
And then will it come with an exclusive driver figure?
That another thing we got to work out. Again, cost is an issue.
Price point.
Yep.
Necro's asking, if the Vanguard becomes a reality, will there be any other models in action?
I mean, Rezvani did debut the Vengeance, and that thing is scary. So
That thing's ridiculous.
Yeah. So if they let me do more of theirs, absolutely.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
And then Jerkmonger said this thing's very fantastic.
Thank you.
Awesome job. Collecting Havoc. I think the turrets as accessory packs would work. Who doesn't like choices?
Sure.
Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, I have a huge collection of HISS tanks, and I buy whole other vehicles just to rip off their, armament and stick it on HISS tanks and all the stuff from Gridiron for their 118 stuff, the Sponson missile pods and the dual caliber 50s and all that stuff. So yeah, why wouldn't it work? Especially if you're the one offering it.
Sure.
Just kind of makes sense. And then George Aiken says you could get a skateboard if the costs get too high. Do a skateboard?
Sure. Do a skateboard.
And then Patrick says, give it an 88 mic. I know a guy. Right. So, wheeled vehicle driver, Army, MOS. Yeah. So I think that's pretty much all I got. I don't know if Tony's still lurking or if he bailed or what, but I got one last question for you, good sir.
Sure.
Are you bringing this fucking guy with you again?
I think if we see him hitchhiking on the side of the road, we might have to pull over and pick him up.
Oh, look at from my position, caliber 50. Yeah, see, he knows. He's Cav Scout. He's not infantry, but he's still combat arms, and so he understands, right? As announced in the crew fire command, caliber 50. So yeah, I don't know. I just threw up this picture of Tony in his gear, right, with me and the ma'am, aka my wife, and this is right outside of your booth last year, and I didn't know if he was coming. I hadn't actually asked him yet. So.
No, he's coming.
Sweet, that'd be rad. And then, Tony says Mark 19 all day, baby, because, if you ever need to turn a 3-story building into a 1-story building, why not,
Why
40
not?
millimeter grenade launcher all day long. The Mark 19 is my baby all day. I love the Mark 19. You fired a lot of Mark 19s? I know you're a gun guy.
I'm a gun guy. I haven't fired a Mark 19, though. I do have a 203 attachment for one of my ARs, but no, I haven't fired an M19.
We got those. I don't want to call them new because they're not new now. They were new like 5 or 6 years ago. But the new 320 one where it has the collapsible stock and you can still sling it under the Picatinny, or you can have it like as a standalone.
Yep.
And then we just got new optics for the 320s, and I'm like, fucking
optics.
Yeah, and it's like a red dot optic. For a plunging fire 40 millimeter grenade launcher. But when they came in the cases, the 320s in their cases, they all came with laser rangefinders. And I'm like, just put the rangefinder on it and then just boop,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's these kids. It's these freaking kids in the army today. They're ridiculous. Like, I try to teach them land nav with a Lensat compass, and they're like, "Well, I've got this app that says this," and I'm like, "Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
right.
Yeah. Like that. Everybody wants bells and whistles, and I'm like, dude,
Like,
just
good luck.
iron
Good luck
sight
when
that
your
shit.
phone dies and your app's not working.
And then look, Wesley says, I got a photo with Chad and his wife at JoeFest and didn't even know it was him. Was I in my Cobra officer? That's probably why. But anyway, yeah, that's cool that you got a 203 on one of your ARs M4, whatever, same platform.
I mean, it's only what is it? Because the military is 40 millimeter. I think mine is a 38 millimeter. That's how the civilian one works.
Right.
But
it's not 5.56, it's 2.23.
Yeah, right.
Wink.
So I know a guy that may or may not have a recipe for making 203s. So
know a guy who knows a guy.
I know a guy who knows a guy. We're
That's
just making
cool.
fireworks.
Yeah. Well, Mr. Vala, I cannot thank you enough for hanging out with me tonight.
No, pleasure's mine.
Yeah. I know we've talked, and we have mutual friends and all that stuff, and we've never actually talked like this. And I really have to thank you for coming on my show. And
of course, man.
I just really wanted to celebrate all your massive wins last year, and I know you're gonna freaking kill it. You're gonna kill it again this year, and I can't wait to just see it, just experience that, because to see that shit show last year was awesome. Like, that was totally awesome.
Yeah,
and you had Sal and you had Ryan and you had Tony, and it was just cool. It was a good time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, now just it's like we're gonna have so many other people there at the show. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah. This year is looking to be the best one in a while. In a while. The 2020, I was deployed for all of 2020, and then the next year with the I didn't really go anywhere. But the Army was super weird about traveling in 2021. They didn't want us doing anything, and that was before they pushed the shots on all of us. And so it was kind of a weird, not necessarily a shelter in place, but they didn't want us really taking leave and going very far. So I didn't even bother trying to go in 21. And so, last year. So this year, I'm really looking forward to it.
Great, man. Looking forward to seeing you.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to seeing you. And, this year I'll walk up and shake your hand, because, last year you were kind of busy, and I'm not that dude. I'm really not. And even when I walked up to your booth to give Tony his fucking
timber.
Yeah, timber. I don't know why I keep spacing timber. When I walked up to give Tony the timber, I'm just like, yeah, my name's Chad, right? But I'm not always super extra. I'm just kind of unassuming and, just kind of laid back. and I'm standing there, and then Sal turns around and he's like, "Oh, hey, what's up, Chad?" And I'm like, "What's up, Sal?" Because, he had the shit on his face and I didn't even recognize him. Yeah. And so then I'm talking to Sal, and then Ryan's like, "Oh, hey, what's up, dude?" But yeah, you always have great energy. The people that you have working with you and all that stuff. So I can't wait to see the awesomeness that you guys bring this year.
Yeah, baby.
And so thank you so very much. And just real quick, I'm going to acknowledge some people before we go. And then Yesterland Toy says, "Thanks, Bobby, always for talking about the line."
Thanks for tuning in.
Samuel says, "Great time tonight." Will says, "Thanks for awesome time." Jeff says, "You're a super attractive man with an awesome beard." I don't know if you really said that. And then Brandon says, "Great show. Thanks, Bobby. Off to shop for some action force."
Thanks.
Buy yourself a t-shirt too, son. You got to rep that shit on your body.
Yeah.
World made a cardboard for my wife and me. It will be our first JoeFest. Any advice? You want to take that?
Ooh. I mean, I don't know. I do it from a different angle. It's like, as a patron, I mean, just listen, just go there. It's a 3-day show. Just know that there's a lot to see, and just kind of just enjoy it. Don't feel pressured into having to do a certain thing or something like that. Just go in there and just shoot from the hip, man.
Yeah. I have to say, as an attendee, as a patron, as someone who goes there to not only be around like other Joe fans and things like that, but you know, I also go there to shop. So I always have a list. I write lists and I continuously like update or adjust my list before, you know, Joe Fest hits. And I walk in the door knowing like, well, these people have this exclusive. This one has that exclusive. Bobby's got that Desert Rat 5 POA, you know, so I know who has all the exclusives and I hit them immediately. So I don't like shit the bed.
Sure.
And then after that, it's just stroll around, see the people, take photos with friends, you know, bullshit. It's so much fun. It's totally so much fun. Like everybody's cool. Everybody's cool.
Yeah.
Last year, like I'm honest, right? Sometimes I do get a little extra, and I straight told some dude like, "You come find me at Joe Fest, and I will punch you dead in the mouth." And he never came and found me, so I don't know if that's good or bad. But
a lot of fake tough guys.
yeah, you know, and it was centered around that whole like, if you don't support the Snake Eyes movie, you're not a real Joe fan, and you're a racist. Remember all that shit?
Yeah.
And I was like, so you're just gonna start calling people racist like that? That's cool, man. Just because I don't like a shitty movie, like now I'll just have to punch you in the mouth. So.
Ask that guy how much Hasbro pays him for a salary.
Yeah.
Because if
how much did that movie make?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, not very much. Anyway, so and then Yesterland Toys reminds people to wear deodorant.
Definitely.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's we have hand sanitizer at the booth because I shake a lot of sweaty hands. You know, which is fine. But yeah, it gets a little ripe in there sometimes.
Yeah, very cool. All right. Well, Bobby, again, thank you so much for hanging out with me. And I look forward to seeing you in June.
You too, brother.
You got any closing thoughts? Where can people find you?
Valaverse everywhere. Valaverse.com, Valaverse on Facebook, Valaverse on Instagram, Valaverse on YouTube. Sign up for the newsletter on Valaverse.com so you can stay up to date on all the the news we sent out, and make sure you follow all the social media channels, and yeah, get ready for spring.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys are just going to come out swinging. And for anybody who doesn't know where to find all of Bobby's awesome Valaverse links, they are all in the description below. And thank you all so much for hanging out with us. And have a good night. Bye.